By the time the invitation arrived, the narrator had already finished celebrating. Graduation had been quiet. A walk across a stage, a brief handshake, a photograph that would be sent to relatives who wouldn't ask follow-up questions. The relief came later, alone, when the pressure of needing approval finally loosened. That relief didn't feel like joy. It felt like clearance. So when the email from his parents landed, family meeting, important paperwork, everyone present, he didn't feel surprised. Just confirmed. The language was careful. No demands. No explanations. Polite enough to be deniable later. That politeness was familiar. It was how requests became obligations in his family. How disagreement became ingratitude. He didn't respond immediately. He opened a notebook instead. There were patterns you learned when you grew up being the reasonable one. How urgency was manufactured. How concern was deployed selectively. How signatures appeared at moments when saying no would make you look dramatic. He remembered other documents, smaller ones. Forms that didn't mean anything. Transfers that were temporary. He had signed those because it was easier than arguing, and because the consequences had seemed abstract. This one didn't feel abstract. He made 2 phone calls that afternoon. Then a third to confirm availability. He emailed back his parents with a single line, "I'll be there." The meeting was set in his parents' living room, rearranged for formality. Chairs pulled closer together, coffee table cleared. At one end, his parents sat side by side, united. His sister was to their right, legs crossed, phone face, down in her lap. Across from them were 2 men in suits he didn't recognize, briefcases open, papers already stacked. The imbalance was intentional. His mother stood when he entered. "You're late," she said, though he wasn't. "Traffic," he replied neutrally and took the empty chair opposite the lawyers. No one offered him coffee. Introductions followed. The lawyers spoke their names and firms, their voices smooth with practice. When they finished, his father leaned forward. "This won't take long," he said. "We just want to get everything settled." The inheritance was described as if it were unfinished business, not a legal reality. Family assets. Fair distribution. Responsibility. His sister's name came up frequently, always paired with phrases like stability and support. She said very little. She didn't need to. The room already spoke for her. One of the lawyers slid a document across the table toward him. The motion was practiced, almost kind. "If you'll just review and sign," the lawyer said. "What can finalize today?" The narrator didn't touch it. He noticed the way his mother's hands folded together, the way his father avoided his eyes, the way the lawyers assumed momentum would carry the moment. Old instincts stirred, explain, soften, comply. He let them pass. He picked up the document slowly and read. Not skimmed. Read. Page by page. The silence stretched. The lawyer shifted his sister's side once, quietly. Halfway through, he looked up. "This assumes voluntary reassignment," he said. "Under what consideration?" One lawyer smiled thinly. "Family consideration," he said. The narrator nodded, as if noting a clerical detail. He turned another page. By the time he finished, the room felt different, less confident. The expectation that he would rush had failed, and nothing had replaced it. He set the papers down carefully. "I'm not signing this," he said. His mother inhaled sharply. "Don't be difficult." "It's not difficulty," he replied. "It's refusal." The lawyers exchanged a glance. One cleared his throat. "You should understand," he began, "that this meeting is intended to prevent future complications." The narrator smiled, not sharply, not smartly. More like someone recognizing a cue. "That's actually why I came prepared," he said. He turned slightly toward the door. "Ms. Alvarez." The door opened. She wasn't imposing. No dramatic entrance. Just a woman with a leather folder and a calm expression stepping into the room like she belonged there, which she did. "My attorney," he said simply. The effect was immediate and visible. The lawyer sat straighter. His father's mouth opened, then closed. His mother's face tightened, calculation replacing certainty. Miss Alvarez took the empty seat beside him and nodded once to the room. "I understand there's an attempt to reassign assets under coercive circumstances," she said. Her voice was even. Professional. I'd like to clarify the legal exposure that creates. One of the lawyers objected weakly. She continued anyway. What followed wasn't dramatic. No shouting, no threats. Just terms like undue influency, invalid consent, documented pressure. Each phrase landed like a weight, not loud, but heavy. The inheritance was not provisional. The meeting itself, she noted, was problematic. Any further attempts could invite scrutiny neither party wanted. The room recalibrated in real time. His sister finally spoke. I don't understand, she said, looking not at him, but at their parents. You said this was handled. His mother reached for her hand instinctively, then stopped, realizing too late how that looked. The lawyers on his parents' side began to gather their papers. Momentum had shifted, and they knew it. This meeting is over, Ms. Alvarez said, not unkindly. Any future communication should go through counsel. No one argued. As they stood to leave, his father tried once more. You didn't have to do it this way, he said. The narrator considered that. This is the only way you listen, he replied, quietly. Outside, the air felt different. Not lighter, clearer. He didn't feel victorious. There was no surge, no satisfaction. Just a sense of alignment, like something finally clicked into place. The fallout came later. Messages, voicemails. Accusations that he'd embarrassed them, betrayed them, escalated unnecessarily. He listened to one, deleted the rest. Distance settled in, not angrily, practically. He still thought about his sister sometimes, about how silence had always served her, until it didn't. About how roles collapse when the structure enforcing them disappears. Nothing was resolved. Nothing was healed. But for the first time, decisions about his life were no longer discussed in rooms he entered already outnumbered. And that, he realized, was enough.